You're listening to 91.5 WUML Blues Deluxe, and I have Tony Tyler on with me today. Hello, Tony Tyler. How are you?
What's happening? How you doing? All right.
I'm good.
How's the weather up there? You staying warm?
It's cool, but it's not snowing yet. It was last week, but this week we're supposed to get rain today, I think.
Right on. I'm suffering down here in Florida.
Yeah, you have the nice warm weather down in Florida.
It's been kind to. I will say last year at this time was a completely different story. That we had just had those hurricanes.
Yep.
Oh my goodness! I evacuated. I mean that the first one came through pretty darn close, and it came south. I'm in St. Pete, Florida, currently.
Yeah,
And
I've been there. I know where it
yeah,
is.
amazing
It's on
scene.
the west coast, closer to the ocean. I know.
Yes, sir. And they say there's a Native American protection around this area that keeps us safe from all the bad hurricanes. But last year, that second one came right to St. Pete. I mean,
Yep.
when you looked at those graphs, it literally showed the eye of the hurricane going right over my neighborhood.
Wow.
I got on the phone with my mother in Georgia. She said, "You better get your butt on up here now," because she knew I'd try to hold down the fort. Thankfully, I got out nick of
so
time.
so you started out at what age playing music?
I was 3 years old when I picked up the drums. My father is a drummer, and so it's kind of my first memory was a drum under a Christmas tree, and just hearing his music. He's a songwriter. He's written some of the most amazing songs that most people have never heard, which I think is a tragedy. I'm actually doing a lot of those songs now. But yeah, just growing up with his music all around the house. It was from the age of 3 years old to pretty much now. It's been the journey.
And you play more instruments outside of the drums now. You're a multi instrumentalist now.
I yeah, I played drums up until I was about 12, and we thought we were going to be a double drum father son like
Yep.
combo thing. And just being around all the musicians in his bands through the years, and they're good. I mean, it's one thing to have a parent that might have a hobby or something like that, but when it's the passion, when it's the drive of your little world there, most kids have like posters on their walls of their favorite guitar players. I literally had, these amazing musicians just right there, and I wanted to be a part of it any way I could. So yeah, I started playing guitar. I heard Dwayne Allman being right there around Macon, Georgia. The Allman Brothers mythos is very heavy, and
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 you didn't grow up too far from there either, right?
no, I grew up in Dublin, Georgia. It's a small town, right, halfway in between Macon and Savannah. And there's not much of a music scene there. So me and all my partners would go up to Macon.
There you go.
Yeah, and that was like the whenever I started driving and that I had already been, my dad and I put a band together when I was 13. I had just turned 13. I learned a pentatonic scale, and then I told my dad I wanted to play guitar and I wanted to be in a band and try to do that. And I don't know. I guess most parents discourage that kind of thing in their children, but my
Not
dad
not
said,
him. Not
my
him, I
dad,
bet.
my dad said, "Okay, well, I'll put a band together behind you of all these like musical assassins, and there you go, thrown to the wolves, like in a good sense." But there was no there was no room for. I mean, the musicians that were around me were veterans, and I was just kind of like a kid. It was an interesting dichotomy of that.
What did you learn from that?
What did I? Oh well, I learned a lot at an early age simply because have grown up in this business from that early age. So I kind of had a unique opportunity to see a perspective that most people don't see. I don't know. I kind of related to I was a child that was expected to act like an adult when I was surrounded by adults that tend to act like children. I mean, musicians are a pretty sensitive bunch, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
I didn't really understand. All that I knew was it felt good making music, and that I could make someone happy, or I could make someone smile with, just doing something that I would happen to be proficient at doing. I didn't understand what the politics involved at that time, because it was such a pure thing, when I was younger. But then, kind of as time goes on, you kind of look around. A lot of this is also in retrospect. The certain things and what it means for a grown musician to look at a kid and say, don't drag, stamp his feet and say, don't drag. I was just, I didn't know he might have had a little bit of the envy thing. I was
Well,
getting a lot of the attention.
you were learning the nuances of what to do and what not to do.
More of
Right.
what not to do, right?
Right.
I mean, I did kind of make a decision at that time, like, I'm gonna do my best to not be that,
So, what did your father call the band? Was there a band name?
The Tony Tyler Trance was the first name of the. Well, actually, the first name of the band was TK Blues, and I had a flyer that I just found. I was going through some old things, and our very first flyer, I had just turned 13 with that band I was telling you about, a place in Milledgeville called Brew Guards. We had a 2-month residency, an entire 2 months, and this was my first gig as a front person. I had played and performed gigs on the drums with Dad. I started doing that at 8 years old, professionally, getting paid in the whole 9 yards. But when I got, by the time I hit 12 and 13, started playing the frontman thing, we had a solid 2 months in Milledgeville. And boy, that was like, it was called TK Blues then, because my last name is Killingsworth.
Yep.
And but that's a little bit too long to go on. So Tony Tyler is the name, but at that time it was TK Blues. And during that span of 2 months, a fella came in called Monty Willis. He was getting a Arby's sandwich next door and saw the name TK Blues on the marquee and just came in. He was affiliated with Ben Robinson, who now plays in Preacher Stone, still a good friend of mine, and Tony Roaster Jr., who now plays with Katy Perry, I believe, and Jay-Z. They've gone on to
Wow.
do amazing things. But they, at the time, were teenage musicians, and
Just like you.
he-
Just like
they,
you.
and this manager's name was Monty Willis. He had just gotten Ben on the Late Show with David Letterman, so he had a Letterman jacket on, David Letterman jacket on. And I thought it was really cool. I didn't think anything of it until he came up. We did a lot of Allman Brothers at the time, and I did Whipping Post. And he came up to my dad at the end of the gig and said, "Hey, I represent this band full of teenage musicians, and I'd like to offer Tony a spot as the singer, because we're going to record Whipping Post." And we did Whipping Post and Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. And the crazy thing about it is I had just seen Tony Roaster Jr. on the Grammys that year. He had performed as part of just the Grammy Association kid band or something like that.
Yep.
And Ben Robinson was in the Nickelodeon band. And I had seen the commercials with them and all that. And it's all, wow, this is amazing stuff. Like going down to a studio in Savannah and recording with these producers. And I had been in and out of studios my whole life with my dad, and they were professional studios, but not quite at this
Level.
at this particular level. I got a chance to sit behind Tony Royster Jr.'s drum kit, and it was so amazing. Super people, I mean, super nice. That was a wonderful experience. Didn't turn out to come to fruition in any kind of career-driven way, but I stay in touch with all those folks now.
And
That was
and
kind of the first brush.
when did you work? You worked with Dan Toller, who was in the Allman Brothers Band for a short time.
Did DDT, yes sir. Well, the first time that I sat in with him, so in the span of getting TK Blues tight, in 2 months we got our show pretty well tight. Willie Perkins, who was the original road manager for the Allman Brothers. Well, he took over for a fella named Twigs, but if anyone knows their Allman Brothers history,
Yep, Twigs. I know who he is.
Yeah. So Willie was still in Macon at the time, still is. He approached my dad, and we signed a management contract with, I think I was about 15 at this point. And one of the first things that Willie did, in addition to hooking us up with Johnny Sandlin down in
I know who he is too. I know who he is too.
Oh yeah, man. Duct Tape Records. In addition to doing that, Willie hooked me up with a sit-in with Dangerous Dan. And it was in Tunica, Mississippi. And me and my dad loaded up in the van, and we went on up. Me and my dad and a good friend of mine, Wesley, who was the bass player in my band. So eventually TK Blues became the Tony Tyler Trance. And it was me, my best friend from math class in high school, and my dad. It was a three-piece. And we had so much fun. Learned like being in the trenches. But anyway, so we loaded up, went up to Tunica, Mississippi, and sat in with Dangerous Dan. And that was fantastic. I had a great time doing that. And I went on and did this and that, and eventually came down to Florida.
I got a question for you before you keep going. You're in the midst of an ex-Allman Brothers Band member. What was that like for you? Any questions? You ask him all kinds of questions?
To be honest, I don't remember asking him a lot of questions so much as just trying to absorb whatever I could.
From him. Yeah,
from him and everyone else that was around in the organization. I've always been a real big fan of everything that involves throwing a show. The sound, the lighting, the crews, the everything. I mean, all the working parts of show business has always fascinated me. So yeah, I just tried to absorb anything and not be too much in the way, and be thankful I was there.
I've interviewed some of the kids. I mean, Melody Trucks, and
Soul Sister. Yeah,
you work with her as well. I mean, Dwayne Betts you've worked with, from what I saw.
Dwayne. Yes, sir. Yes,
How
sir.
many other Allman kids have you worked with?
I've never had the opportunity to work with Dwayne, although we have met several times. And matter of fact, they came through Macon, and Dwayne was at Grant's Lounge. It's the spot,
Yep.
And my dad went and saw Dwayne and introduced himself and said, "I'm Tony Tyler's dad." And Dwayne said, "Oh, well, I said hello," and all that. So just to even be in the conversation of anything is a blessing, But I did, when I was in Georgia before I came to Florida, I opened for Honey Tribe, Devin Allman's Honey Tribe.
Yeah.
He is a amazing musician, and they're doing that Allman Betts family revival thing. They have been for a few years.
Yep.
I mean, just that legacy is very near and dear to my heart. Just simply because of the proximity of where I'm from. And I mean, my dad was around in the 70s, when Macon was in its in its mythos, yeah, and all the bands that were around then, Marshall Tucker Band, the Wet Willie Band. I've had an opportunity to work with most of those people, and it's just been the honors of my. That's the sauce that I draw from. You know, I mean,
Yep.
I'm really just trying to be pay. I'm trying to pay as much of an homage to Jimmy Hall as I can. You know, I love Wet Willie and that whole even more than the music. It's the idea behind the everything, the brotherhood, the family, the sisterhood, the camaraderie. Help thy brother's boat across, and lo, thine own has reached the shore, is what's on Barry Oakley's headstone. And that, to me, pretty much sums up the whole idea behind that. And for some reason in Middle Georgia and Macon, that it's specific to that area. I've never come across another scene that's quite so
Well,
bonded.
connected. You're
It's a
right.
bond. It's a certain kind of bond. It goes back to Little Richard, I think.
Yeah, there's a connection because you all know each other and you all are playing in some of the places that those guys played at one time or another.
No, they
And
still do. You
yeah,
can't throw a rock and I mean, not hit an amazing musician up there. It's a keep up kind of situation for sure,
I
especially
mean,
if
and
you're
then
younger.
me interviewing Tad, who worked with Butch Trucks,
Yeah,
and Melody. I had a great interview with her talking about her dad, and um, I mean, all of you guys. It was amazing.
Melody's fantastic. I
Yeah.
had a great opportunity to tour with Melody and the Fitzky brothers. That's doing amazing things right now. I tell you what, Melody Trucks and everything that she's doing with the whole foundation and the Road to
Yep.
Roots and
Yep.
um, passing on all of this knowledge and goodness. That's exactly what we were just talking about. That bond, that
Yep.
certain kind of thing. She's doing amazing, and her brother Vaylor is in that
I've
too.
interviewed him too.
So good. Oh, he scares me. He's so good. It's frightening, man.
Yep.
But yeah, like I say, just to even be in the orbit of some of these folks is
And then
humbling.
you got their cousin Derek, who's going crazy with his band.
Shoot, man, Derek is like, I remember me and my buddies watching that Crossroads festival. I think it was like mid 2000s or whatever, and it was Derek and Susan and Kofi and Enrico and Todd Smalley and all these and Mike Madison, all these cats that are just so like mythical, and Colonel Bruce Hampton and Jimmy Herring and
Yep.
O'Teal. I mean, these are all Atlanta making like
Yep. Oh yeah.
based kind of cats,
Florida
you know?
guys too.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. So I tell you, just the fact that I remember in high school, the fact that I was into the Allman Brothers band was kind of a little niche in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, or whatever. But the late 90s, early 2000s, that's when there was some sort of surge, you
Well,
know?
that was Derek was in the band around that time,
Yeah.
and Warren Haynes and Derek
Oh
and
man, Government Mule. Oh, bro.
right.
So Government Mule, I remember when they were rehearsing in Macon. Now I was like 12. So this was just when I was getting into guitar playing.
Yep.
And this is 96, 97. They just started like doing their thing, and they played the Cherry Blossom Street Party in Macon. And oh my God, it's like going to the source of all
Well,
things, you know?
lot of great musicians came out of that area, Florida, Georgia, that whole area, Mississippi, Louisiana. I mean, lots of great artists have come. Another one you mentioned, Todd Smalley, JJ
Oh
Gray.
yeah, man.
JJ Gray is another guy.
So good.
Incredible.
and all of these people are just sweethearts. You know, I recently, well, recently, it was a few years ago by now, I had an opportunity to jam with Todd again. I went out to Colorado. A friend of mine, Dave Watts from the amazing Motet, had me out there for his birthday bash. I was very privileged to be a part of that, and Todd was the bass player, and I reminded him of a studio session that we did in 2008 at Tree Sound Studios, and it was an amazing experience, man. And like I said, all these people are just so like I look up to these folks as kind of as an example of how to be.
So your dad had a band named Midnight Blue. Tell me about that.
Midnight Blues, yeah. Some of the best songs, the most emotionally in tune songs. And maybe I might be biased because I grew up around it, but yeah, it was a band called Midnight Blues. This was before my dad and I formed our band
Hmm.
together. So they were in Macon in the late '90s, and like I said, in the late '90s in Macon, there was a scene that was cooking, and Midnight Blues was right in on that. Eddie Stevens, the guitar player, Keith Holloway, Jack Keith, the bass player, Terry Wallace. Terry is still out there doing stuff. Most of these musicians are still out there doing great stuff. But I tell you, man, these songs that Midnight Blues in particular had, I've yet to hear songs that are the most just like, well, but I'm working on. I'm gonna record a lot of those songs and interpret those in a way. It's not.
Those
It's
are your dad's songs, right? You said.
there. Some of them are my dad's. Some of them are his guitar players. I'm a songwriter as well, and it's really really hard to have an idea of, man, I'm going through something, or oh goodness, relationship just went sour, or I have this bill I can't get paid, or whatever. I sure would like to write a song about that and express my feelings. But then I think of a song that my dad already wrote about this exact same thing, or
Yeah.
a song that one of his friends wrote. This exact same emotion, this exact same vibe. So yeah, yeah, it was one of the most fertile grounds of inspiration to grow up around. I'm very blessed to have been dealt the cards that I was, because being just experiencing that firsthand is like, and I mean I experienced everything firsthand. So Capricorn Studios before Mercer put amazing resources behind it, and really really got it back to where it's doing. Oh my God, it's amazing. If you go through Macon, see Capricorn Studios, the museum too. But when I was a kid, it was called Phoenix Sound, and it wasn't renovated, brother. It was a it was a old building from the 20s, or whenever
Yep.
they built that
Yep.
building. Might have been the 1800s, I don't know, but holes in the floor and the walls and things. I remember watching Midnight Blues recording sessions because I was with my dad. It was just take your kid to work day,
Yep.
and to see the inner politics of bandom, or the recording process, or the frustrations that come out. I mean, I was sitting there while the bass player was teaching one of the two guitar players a song that he had just written. Beautiful song that I'd like to interpret one of these days. But I remember just sitting there on the steps and watching that process, and just legitimately, it's like having an opportunity to sit there behind the easel while Picasso's going.
Yep. Yep.
Who gets to do that, right? But also, like I say, the frustrations that can happen, the egos that come with it, the clashes, you always hear the creative differences. I saw it all, man, and yeah, some things never change. Huh?
So, so coming up into 2026, we're getting close to 2026. You and Tad worked as Mushroom Soup, or you've changed in the name. What are you changing the
Yeah,
name to?
I love mushroom soup. I just want to come out and say that publicly, right? But I would go to Facebook and type in mushroom soup to find all the socials, and it would kick me back some Campbell's recipes, holiday mushroom soup,
Soup.
fricassee,
Yep.
whatever. And so I just suggested I talked because Tad's been doing this for a long time, and he worked with Butch, and he just asked me to come into the thing. So I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to come off too or sure, this is what we're gonna do. All right, this is what we're gonna do. But I did suggest like, hey man, maybe we could call it something a little bit more direct as to what we're doing with this, like an Allman Brothers tribute. So we're calling it Enlightened Rogues, and we're calling it that. It's the first album that Dan Toller was on when they came back. It's their first album when
Yep.
they came back, and I played with Dan. And we had I was honored to be a part of the Dangerous Dan Toller band right before he got sick. Rest his soul. I tell you what, man. You talk about the rock and roll university. That right there.
Why?
Yeah,
That's
so
why he was called Dangerous, by the way. Probably.
oh man, you know what? They called him Dangerous because he was so dangerous with that guitar and that
Yep.
golf club.
Yep.
But Sweet, I mean, you couldn't even. I mean, for a start, and I don't. I want to get back to the Enlightened Rogues thing, but for a start, he let a 22-year-old kid that had just come down from Middle Georgia be his front guy or whatever you want to call
Yep.
it. Um, and he trusted me to do that. And I kind of guess it's just in retrospect where I just turned 39 on the 7th of this month. So
Congratulations. Happy birthday.
I mean, uh, but just reflecting it's on a lot of things, you kind of see things through a different lens. So just the fact that it was Dan Toller, Gary Gazzardo from the Marshall Tucker Band, Count Artabasi, Jeff Artabasi from Captain Beyond, and we had a keyboard player named Taylor Caldwell.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah, my goodness, and me, like looking around, like man, I can't slack on none of this. But some of my favorite memories is riding up and down the road with Dan. It was just me and him.
What'd your dad say when that all came about to you? He must have
Oh,
thought it was like, wow.
yeah, when I turned 18, my dad and I sat down and had the discussion of, it might be time for you to go on and do your thing and put your bands together and things. And it's always been a smooth sailing, supportive situation. So whenever I got that opportunity with Toller, my dad never really emphasized anything, if that's a good way of putting it. He was, oh wow, oh great, that's cool, it's fantastic. And so I did ask him once. I said, Dad, what is it like to just kind of, we did our thing for the longest time, and then I went on did my thing, and now I'm playing with some folks that kind of come as things are kind of coming a circle type situation. I don't know if that's a good way of putting
Full
it.
circle, coming back.
Yeah, but he said it is really humbling, I think, is what he kind of the direction he steered it to. It's all part of a bigger fabric, you know. So yeah, when I did that with Toller, he was just nothing but go after it.
Well, that's great. So where do you see yourself in the band coming up in the next couple years?
Well, with the Enlightened Rogues thing, we are in rehearsals right now. We're getting our show together, and there's a lot of Allman Brothers tributes out there, and every single one of them are amazing in their own way. So we're finding our. What I'd like to do is focus more on the early years, the Dwayne and Barry years. Just a huge fan of that firepower that they have. I mean, there's
Yep.
some. I love the Grateful Dead. There's always been this thing about the Allman Brothers and Grateful Dead. They're two sides of the same coin, but I think that the Allman Brothers had a little bit more of that Southern fire, brimstone, church.
Yep.
You know, there's something about it all comes from the church down south, I think. You know what I
You're
mean?
right. You're right.
And
That it
so
was.
we're going to focus a lot on that, and we're also going to do some of the Toller era, which is fast forwarding a bit. But really, I mean,
And some of your
it's
own stuff you said too.
yeah, I've got things that I'm doing. I've got the Tony Tyler band still. I'm a loop artist. I also do a loop show. That's what I call my day job. I perform as a loop artist, and I do the bass and the keyboards and the guitar, and I beatbox with the drums. It's a lot of fun. I mean, it really kind of came out of necessity due to the pandemic, because when the pandemic hit, a
You had
lot
to,
of the
yeah,
venues,
you had to figure out what you could do yourself.
yeah, and everything kind of went. I just watched a thing. It's Bo Burnham inside. He did everything in one room, filmed it, edit, shot it, the music, the lighting. It's just so fascinating. But that's kind of what everybody did. And someone that I was seeing at the time was a very, very good loop artist. And I said, man, I wonder if I can figure out how to do that. So it started with just a very, very primitive setup, and as has gone on, I've
Yeah.
added different things, and so now this is insane. This is my new project. I'm gonna try and figure out how to add this electronic drum kit here
Yep.
to my loop show. So it's ridiculous how much equipment that's just for one overachieving,
Yeah, but
ultimately
that's
bored.
great that you.
I don't know, it's just kind of good to sink into my
Well,
space here.
yeah, you're trying. That's good.
I mean, I was just talking to my dad about this a couple of days ago. You know, I am at heart a throwback rock and roll, you know, musicians on stage, just hacking it out, man, and going at it. But, you know, there are so many different ways to make music nowadays, and I'm just kind of starting to explore a lot more of those different avenues and different options. And I'm trying to do something unique but familiar at the same time. And I don't know. I don't
Well,
really know.
at least you're trying to do something new. That's good.
Sure.
That's good.
You know, I've just come out with some things from Capricorn Studios. I've got a whole album's worth of material that I've recorded at Capricorn, along with some amazing musicians here from Florida. And like it's the same. There's so many different ways to release music nowadays too. I kind of went back and forth. Should I release them all at the same time, or should I just do it bit by bit? So I've decided to just kind of release one single at the time and just keep the fire stoked, you know. And
Yeah, that's good.
I've released a song called "Tough Luck." Now that is one of those songs that was written by Eddie Stevens of Midnight Blues, and it was the first song back in 1999 when Midnight Blues was recording it. It was the first time that I had ever sang on a track,
On a
was
track. Yep.
on Tough Luck. So to grow up and go back to the same studio, same Capricorn, same, you know, like I said, it was Phoenix Sound then, but and to be able to do the song and reimagine it, my kind of version of it is a lot of fun. And I just want to get this music is so special to me. I just want to get it out to some ears because I think it'll be special to a lot of
So,
other people too.
so how do people find out about your music?
They can go to Spotify and just search Tony Tyler, and that's Tyler, not Tiger. I guess. I said, did you say Tony Tiger? Can't find you anywhere, Tony Tiger. But you can also go to Facebook, on Facebook under Tony Tyler, and Instagram as well. So it's kind of confusing. I have two pages on Facebook. One is what was the band page,
Tony
which has
Tyler Band, right?
right, and the other, which it was my personal page, but Facebook has made it to where if you're a content creator, which I enjoy that term. I've heard people kind of look down their nose at the term content creator. It's like, man, I always imagined what it would be like when I was a kid to just be able to have your own channel or your own station on TV. What would that be like? Well, we can do that now. It's kind of neat. So I'm exploring that. So I've made my what was my personal page. I've converted it to a professional, and they use that term professional kind of loosely. But so I'm exploring all the different ways to release content, release music and videos and reels. I'm making some videos with the drums, and I'm gonna start making more video-based content here in the studio with the loop thing. I'm gonna kind of I'm trying to figure out how to take everyone along the journey as I figure out how to execute all of this stuff. It might be only just interesting to me, but
Yeah, you never know though. You could do that.
I'm sure there's some nerds out there, some tech nerds out there that might could help me out a little bit with it. I'm just
So what about
wading into the
what
water.
about Enlightened Rogues? You guys, do you have anywhere if anybody can go to that?
Absolutely. So, well, what we're doing right now is we're really getting that. Like we say, there's a lot of Allman Brothers tributes out there. So when we come back out doing what we do, we really want to be able to stand. So we're in rehearsals right now. We're getting all the socials together. I'm not sure if I think the Instagram is live. The Enlightened Rogues Band is what it's under, and I'm actually could dedicate some time today to getting a lot of that other stuff. There's so much to do,
Yeah.
so little to do, so much time.
So what's
Strike
your
that.
dad doing
Where's
these
it?
days? What's your dad doing these days? He's still playing?
Oh yeah, he's up there in Macon. He's still doing his thing, and he has rehearsals. His friends come over and they have rehearsal. There's a meeting. I think if it's not a weekly, it's monthly up there in Macon. It's called Comp, I believe, and it's really cool. It's like a hive mind, So he's still in. I think the venue that they play is about to reopen here after the new year, so he'll be out playing live. He's living the dream, man. Yeah.
So
And you
Enlightened
actually you can find his music
Yeah.
under John Stanley Killingsworth on Spotify.
John Stanley Killingsworth.
Yeah, and that I'm in the middle of a project right now of releasing all of his music that he's done from this. I've got recordings from the '70s, all the music that I heard him record when I was literally a toddler, and just a song. Matter of fact, glad that glad this came up. This month marks, I think it's the 31st anniversary. One of his songs called "The Miracle of Love." It was chosen by the Clinton White House to be the national song for World AIDS Day. It was picked over Elton John submitted, Lionel Richie submitted,
Wow.
and they picked my dad's song. It's called "The Miracle of Love," and you can hear it on Spotify right now.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
great. That's
yeah.
great.
I'm
So
gonna do
he's
that. I'm
getting
gonna do a little version of it too.
so he's getting That's good. He's getting recognition.
He ought to. He just had a story written up about this very, very nice lady. He wrote a amazing story. His whole life, the civil rights movement in the '60s in Georgia. You know, when the schools were integrating and they had marches and things. He and a few of his friends marched over to the other side of the tracks. You know, and marched along. They called him their blue-eyed soul brother, you know, and
There you go.
he got his butt whooped for that in Middle Georgia in the '60s. I mean, you could imagine the climate, and he was on the right side of history, you know, and they go into all that in that stories. I posted it on my Facebook page, so if anybody's interested, they can check it
Yeah,
out
I'm interested. I'll definitely go and read it. That's great.
for
Well,
sure.
Tony, I just want to say thank you very much for taking some time out of your busy day. Sorry we couldn't do this last week. I
Hey
had
man,
I had
thank
some
you.
internet issues last week, but now I don't. So we were able to do this. It's
I
great.
understand. I understand. Thank you for having me. Thank you for helping me get the word out about some music. You know,
Well, if
it's
you guys come up north here, I'd love to have you bring the band in the studio one
we
of these
sure will.
weeks.
You know, if I may briefly a little anecdote about Boston, I was a part of a band after the East of August thing with Ben Robinson and Tony Royster. I was scouted for a second kind of super group band that was put together by the former manager of Aerosmith. And it was kind of like a boy band, but with instruments. This was in the year 2000. And one of the first things that we did was flew to New York City, which was August of 2001.
Yep.
And then the world changed, you know, just 3 weeks later, the world
COVID.
changed. And
COVID.
we were just there. I mean, I have whole movies when we went up to New York to rehearse with this band of going up and just going up to the towers and looking up. The pilot let me in the cockpit, all that. 3 weeks later, none of that would happen. So
No.
anyway, then after we did the New York thing, we went to Boston to shoot the music video in February. They took us to Boston in February.
February. Nice. Lot of snow.
Woo! I definitely got my dose of northern exposure.
Yep.
But yeah, I love Boston. I've been to the area several times, and the scene there is great.
Well,
I can't wait to be
It
back
was
up.
March of that year when everything stopped
Oh yeah, yeah.
during
It's
COVID. It was March of the 2020, whatever it was,
no, no.
19.
I'm talking about
Right,
10 years.
right. 10 years before, but I'm talking about COVID being right around that
How
same time.
how?
10
Oh
years
yeah, the
later. 10 years.
February, March.
Yeah,
What is it about that time of year
I
where
don't
it's like
know.
something's gonna happen if the cold isn't enough, right?
So you came to Boston,
Hmm.
and what did you do when you were done? You go back to Macon, go back south after
We
that?
did. Well, we shot a music video there, and we stayed there for a couple of days. And my mother actually, unfortunately, got food. My mother, let me tell you, the heart and soul of this whole situation is my mother, who dealt with me being out on the road with my dad. No social media, no cell phones, no anything.
Yeah, that
Just
was early 2000s. Yep.
yeah, we were out on the road, and I wasn't coming home. She didn't know I was going to be home until I remember every night that I'd come in before, and I'd have to get up to go to school. I'd come in and I'd open the door, it'd be 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'd go in and I'd say, "Mama, it's me. I'm home." And I'd give her a kiss, and she'd go on back to sleep. But yeah, that's who traveled with me to Boston and New York, and we went to LA and that whole thing. If we
Yep.
get another chance to speak, I'll tell you about that whole
Okay.
crazy experience.
All
But
right.
yeah, we rode in a limousine in Boston and experienced the. What would you like to drink? Oh, I'll have sweet tea.
Where?
What?
Yeah, what? You're right.
Well, no, it's a wonderful experience, and I can't wait to come back and see y'all.
Yeah, come on up, and we'll have you come play in my studio.
Yes, sir. Would love to. Let's do it.
All right, Tony. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. God bless you. Have a good one now.
Same to you. Thank you.